just have to show y'all something. How lazy can people be that they don't put a nut on these things? So they had these rubber pieces on there, and I thought, oh, they just put that on there to protect the ends of the glow plug, make sure nothing would get up against it and short it out. But no, that was holding the wire on. So we're going to retest this one here and make sure that I don't know how you can expect it to make contact like that. And this one was testing good, but who knows if it was actually making good enough, because there's a lot of current that flows to those glow plugs, and if you don't have a good connection there, they are not going to work. And so this one, even though it's testing good, the glow plug itself is good, we may not have had a good enough connection to make it work. So we're going to need to put new nuts on those. I think they're probably the same thread as the air cleaner housing nuts, and I got a couple of those. I don't remember how many I got. You know, if you remember in one of my videos, I lost one of them, so I rethreaded a standard nut, and I at least got one at the junkyard. I don't remember if I got two. I have to find the Ziploc. I'll have to find that Ziploc. We got a mess of parts back here and tools, but I will find that Ziploc and see if I have a nut for it. But we've got one nut on that one glow plug, and so we're just short one nut, so we'll find one and put it on there. But that's pretty lazy. We're going to retest this glow plug. It's got some rust on it, so I might get a little piece of sandpaper and clean that up a little bit, and we'll test it again and see if it's still a bad glow plug. Alright, that glow plug came out easily. It's pretty oily, but it was not stuck or anything. It's the exact same part number as this one, and this one, like I said, tests good, so we're going to put this one in there. And that one, I tested it again once it was out, and it tests bad. This other one, these other two that didn't have nuts on them, I used my wire brush, and I used it on that one too, and just cleaned up the threads real good, and so they're ready to go on. I dropped a nut trying to get those on there. I think I know why they put the hose on there. The ends of the threads they stripped out, and I think probably what happened is either they cross-threaded it and tried to start a nut on there, or the ends of the threads had some rust on them and they took the nuts off and it messed the threads up where the rust was. So I think one of those two things happened. I don't know which, but after that, and they probably dropped the nuts. Like I said, I dropped one nut. I don't know if it made it all the way down. I still needed one nut anyway, so I just picked up some. I had to run to the store anyway. So I picked up some, and I think once we back the car up, we'll look up underneath it. The problem is I don't have it parked in the driveway, so I'll have to get a magnet and see if I can find it. But let's put this glow plug in, and that one, like I said, is probably the hardest one to get to. This makes life a whole lot easier. 12mm gear wrench. And that's one of the straight ones, which I think you would have to have a straight one to do one of these. I say straight. See, unlike a normal. See, here's a curved one. That's a 1/2 inch, but just I don't know if you could get a curved one in there or not. It's kind of tight. So got that in, got that out. We'll put the new one in. I'm debating whether it'd be worth it to start the nut on the wire and then put it on, leave the nut loose so the wire, so as you're tightening it, the wire can just turn in there. That may be the best way to do it, and then just use the open end side to turn the glow plug in there. It would make putting the glow plug in harder, but it's going to be really hard to get that nut started once it's in there. So I haven't decided yet what's going to be the best option, but I'll figure it out and go from there. Here's what I did. I went ahead and started the nut with the wire on it. As you can see, I figured that was going to be easier, and then use the boxed in or the open end wrench to start it, to start the glow plug itself. Then trying to get that little nut down in there. There's just not much room to get your hands down in there to start that little nut, and so I figured that would be easier. It's not difficult to use the open end to put the glow plug in. It's just more tedious than using the ratchet wrench, and so I'd rather easy and tedious than getting that glow plug in there and possibly dropping the nut, losing it, just having a hard time getting that nut on there. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that glow plug up, and then we'll get our little 8mm in there and tighten the little nut up. Alright, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I cleaned up the wire ends and the glow plugs, those two, with my wire brush, stainless steel wire brush. And there they are. Those are they're M5 .8 pitch threads, and I could not find shoulder nuts, so I just put a flat washer. So it's a flat washer, then an M5 nut. So got those two on there, and did a little work with a die and cleaned the ends of those up just with my fingers. Of course I can't get the tool in there, so I used it with my fingers. Able to, they weren't too bad. I probably could have, if it was an easier spot to get to, you probably could have gotten the nut started easier, but I was able to get that die in there and just kind of clean those threads up a little bit. So those are on. That one's all good now. So let's do a little test here, and we're just going to do the quick and easy test right here at the wire, and that'll make sure we have good connection from the glow plug controller to here. So we'll get our ground ready again, and we're going to do this test again. So we got 0.2. This was one of the bad ones. 0.2 or 0.12. This is another one of the bad ones right here. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. 0.12 or 1.2. Yeah. 1.1, 1.0, whatever. And the last one. 1. Alright. So to me, that tells me all 5 glow plugs should be working. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and change this out. Let me grab a wrench. I guess y'all can watch. we've got this one mounted. Well, hang on. I'm gonna pull the battery cable off. I think that connection over there is probably hot all the time. There, battery cable's off. I think this is a straight wire. Probably comes off the starter, or the lead that goes to the starter. And so we don't want to hit that up against anything. It's a 10 millimeter. And let's see, do it at 10 millimeter over here. Because if we're up against the body pulling that one off, so definitely wouldn't want to ground that out. That would probably blow that fuse. I don't know where that, if that, no, it probably wouldn't blow the fuse, but still, it wouldn't be good. Then, I think these are 8 millimeter, so let's take those out. 2 8 millimeter bolts. And this other one's kind of hard to get to. There's a plug on the firewall, it's right there. Alright, that one's off. And I actually have a video in one of my other videos. I think I show pulling this off a little better. You probably don't have the best view right now. So let's set y'all up a little more now. So this is the one I got at the junkyard. It's a different part number. It was an older car. It did have the same style, did have the pencil glow plugs, so I'm not sure why it's a different part number. I don't know if they changed different years, or if it was a naturally aspirated, so maybe the turbo's different. It did not have a fuse. Somebody had already wrapped the fuse off of it. But I had a good fuse on mine, so we're taking the fuse back off and putting it over on mine. And I've got a video also of testing the capacitors in this glow plug controller, and then another video replacing the capacitors in it. So this one has been redone. The relay appeared to be in good shape, so I did not mess with it. So now we can set this one to the side, and maybe I'll see if I can get y'all a better view going back on with it. Let's see. So we've got this right here. Oh, let's go put this on so we don't lose it. Start this back on the other one. So this other one, I may tear it apart and rebuild it. We have that one in the spare. And we'll start this hot wire on it. And I think I'll go ahead and tighten that one down, just because it'll make it a little easier without it being bolted in. nuts ready here. Screws. Get those hand tight, and then we'll tighten them down. Plug our 2 wires in. And this is not my original cover, this one's from the junkyard, but they're the same, so we'll just pop that one on there. I think the other one's in the back of the car. So, that should be good. Let's clear our tools.